What's up, jobbers, and welcome to the latest edition of the Jobber Knocker podcast. As always, is Nestlemania alongside for the right as a man that I always tell, get a life, kid, JC.
Am I going to take you to Suplex City again this week, Adam?
Who the fuck is Adam?
You are. We're here in Nestlemania. We got a lot of shit to talk about today. I don't know if you realize, but Saturday, Night of Champions. Sunday, NXT Battleground, which is in our home state of Massachusetts, going head-to-head with AEW. Bam, put them down, double or nothing. So we're going to hit you with all those predictions later in the show. But we have a lot of stuff to talk about before we even get there. So I expect a jam-packed episode of wrestling talk today.
22 matches, JC.
I don't know about you, but we got 22.
Oh, speaking of which, tell me about Taylor Swift real quick.
I got very, very wet, but it was an awesome show, as always. She's a stud.
What was her name?
Taylor Swift.
Oh, okay. You got in. Good.
Yeah. Did you see I don't know if you saw any of the videos of that rain, but oh my God. I'm still drying out, but it was worth it. It was fun.
It was a soggy day. It was soggy.
It was literally like, it was insane. I don't know. To perform for 3.5 straight hours in that rain and not fucking miss a beat, like there's studs and then there's Taylor Swift. Let me just put it that way.
She was worth the money. Let's put it that way.
Always.
Okay, moving on. Anyway, from one shine to another, let's get into the shine.
Always in the shine, much like Taylor Swift, Mandy Rose, and Nestlemania. I'm going to mix it up this week because I'm going to catch you off guard because we're recording on a Wednesday, which means last night was NXT. We're talking about it later, but my favorite segment from wrestling this week was the promo battle between Gigi Dolan and JC Jane, the former compatriots of Always in the Shine, Mandy Rose. I don't know if you saw it in Nestlemania because I don't know. I know you get to NXT sometimes a few days late, but anyone listening who hasn't seen it, you have to check it out. They have a weaponized steel cage match next week, so we'll see how that goes. But it's one of those things where JC's always been a good promo, but Gigi I've always kind of been like, but she's kind of started to find their footing. They've had several battles at this point, but this was a really good segment. It called back to a lot of their history. I thought the way they shot it did really well. So for me, this was my absolute shine of the week. And I'll say this, I know last week was a pretty negative show, but I do have a lot of other shine this week as well because I thought Raw and SmackDown were much better as well.
Oh, well, you're going to have to lift me up. You're going to have to Josh Groban me because I thought there was
Josh Groban.
Yeah. You raise me up? No?
Oh my God.
Is that a reference you don't get?
Oh no, I know who Josh Groban is, but I just can't believe
it's like it's one of the most popular wedding songs of all time. That's a shout out. That's a shout out to the Joe Stopper because his wife came down the aisle to "You Raise Me Up." So just FYI.
I just wasn't expecting a Josh Groban reference.
Well, I didn't expect you to start the shine with NXT, so here we are. Here we are. But the only thing I saw was JC Jane is a bitch or whatever she said.
That was the end. Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, that was fun. Something I wanted to talk about because obviously you got a big hard on for this man. I'm curious your thoughts.
Hard on.
Yeah, for the American Nightmare hurting his arm, and how you felt about the whole lead up to this entire thing throughout the.
You're putting this in the shine.
Hold on. So let me just say this much. This is a part of the shine I will put in here. For anybody that ever worries about Cody Rhodes, he had like 400 fucking segments.
Yeah, he's the fucking star of the show.
He's the star of the show. So for me, I actually enjoyed this entire thing, but I know you probably didn't. But I really enjoyed it. It's not why
you think though. It's one of those. So there's a lot of times like, you watch a TV show, you read a book, you watch a movie. and you have a character they absolutely love. So you're literally your favorite character, and that's the reason why a lot of times you watch that show, read that book, watch that movie. But sometimes, even though it's like your character, like you're not really enjoying the show, or the movie's a little lackluster, or the book you just kind of want to put it down because you're having trouble getting through it. That's kind of how I'm at with this Cody Brock storyline. Is I love Cody, I have a great appreciation for Brock, always have, but I don't know. It's I don't know. It's weird, and maybe we'll talk about more predictions, what we think is going to happen, but it's definitely getting the treatment. It's one of the 3 main events at Night of Champions, which God, let's not even get started there. But I'm not saying like that it's bad. It's just I'm at the point right now where it's like, because they're kind of in the middle of the storyline. Sometimes that stuff, if it doesn't really hold your attention too much, you're just kind of like, eh. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's like, I love the characters. I'm not really loving this part of the story. So, because it's one of those things, like they didn't finish his story at WrestleMania, and now it seems like I have to wait till next WrestleMania do they possibly do it again. So when you do something like that, it kind of makes all the middle kind of useless. And, I think they kind of call it like filler. And that's kind of what this feels like to me, which is sad because Cody and Brock should be a bigger deal. It should be for a goddamn title, but what do I know?
In the words of Todd Graham, it's chuffa. I don't know what that means, but filler.
Chuffa?
Chuffa. He calls it chuffa.
Interesting.
I don't know why. Anyway, I thought I liked it because it started off raw hot. I didn't expect to jump at the fucking gate, and then they fucking broke his arm, which again leads to what I think, spoiler alert, my prediction, Brock Lesnar, easy big dub here, so that they can continue this story for Cody Rhodes. And he
That's
might
what we thought was set last year, though, too.
Nah, I know. So, like, to me, I think Brock Lesnar puts him in the Kimura, we're done, and then Cody gets written off for a little bit, and then we get our ways to SummerSlam, and we'll have the payoff there, and Cody will overcome the beast in the way that I'm sure it'll be a extravagant SummerSlam kind of thing.
Do you really think they're writing off their top act right now? I don't think they're. I don't. I think he's going to still be around.
No,
not going to want to lose that entrance or lose that in the
crowds. He's not going to wrestle. Let's put it that way.
I mean, he should wrestle a lot less. The poor guy's wrestling too much, And when you're a top star, it's one of those things like ease him up a little bit. You don't have to go full Roman Reigns or MJF because I know that was a little discussion today. But it's like dial back a little bit. That's why I'm kind of glad Seth is getting this break before he starts having to carry that title around. Let him go shoot his movie, rest that body up. He's the guy that wrestles most weeks. It's like. It's good to kind of, let that body heal a little bit, so we don't lose our top stars for an extended period of time.
Okay, well, clearly this was definitely something you didn't enjoy. So let's get you back on track.
The one part that interests me, and you didn't even bring it up, is the stuff with Triple H at the end. All the rest, like whatever, but it was like, because we know Adam Pearce, he made the phone call. Oh, I didn't know what to do. Oh. And so Triple H comes in and tries to stop him, but then and they continue the parallels with Cody and Triple H. And, you see the theories of people being like, oh, maybe Triple H is setting all this up because he doesn't want Cody to be champion. Maybe he's the one pulling strings with Brock. I don't really think that, but I'm curious what you think is kind of the end game here with the game being so involved with Cody on screen.
I think what they're trying to do is make Cody as big as humanly possible. And I think not that Triple H can wrestle ever again. So we can't have Triple H versus Cody. I think that would be a money match. We can't have it. I mean, we can't have Triple H being electrocuted in the middle of the ring.
Well, we never thought Vince would wrestle again in Nestle, and we got that. So you never say never.
Yeah, I mean, unless we find a way to get a defibrillator out of him that wouldn't kill him. So I think what they're trying to do here is when they put Vince McMahon on screen, anybody that Vince McMahon is on screen with ultimately became a bigger thing. So I think that not that Cody needs it, but I think in some weird form or fashion, they're putting Triple H with him for this moment to make him be like, okay, we already know that you're the fucking guy. But now Triple H is kind of putting his flag on him and saying like, this is your show. This is your time to do whatever you're going to do. And I think having that back and forth, like even when he like tapped his leg afterwards, he's like, what did you do? What have you done? You know what I mean? And like, we know Triple H blew his quads out. We knew that Triple H has lost his pec. We know like all these things he's done and he's gone through it, still continuing to fight. And the parallel here that I love is that Brock Lesnar broke Triple H's arm, I believe, at SummerSlam, and the crowd like chanted, "You tapped out." I remember that. And then they had to wait all the way to WrestleMania to get the rematch, or vice versa. I forget. My brain isn't necessarily in the right frame of mind. But the parallel there is going to be very similar, where I think Brock Lesnar is going to break Cody Rhodes' arm, and we're going to have Cody in a sling for a while, walking around doing God knows what, till we can get him to put his 6 weeks to heal an arm or whatever. And I think there's just going to be a lot of parallels here because it's the royal family and the royal family. I think there's a lot there that I think he loves Triple H, and clearly he wants to have that back and forth there. So I'm interested in it. I think it's good, and I mean we're never going to get the match between the two of them. So I don't think they're going to do an authority figure against Cody Rhodes. I think that's been way overdone and outdone. So especially with Triple H too, it's just I think Cody Rhodes is good enough on his own, and I think Triple H really loves being Dana White now. So it's like, let him be Dana White.
Let's not hope he goes full Dana White because a lot of
let's not. Let's hope he hits his wife. That's definitely, you know what I mean. Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, other things too. But no, I think it's a good thing for Cody. I do, because if Cody, here's the thing, Cody's not getting that World Heavyweight Championship. I would think. I
wouldn't be so sure,
because I think that's a crock of shit. It'll be 10
times.
It's
a crock of shit title. He shouldn't hold it.
It's like 10 times worse than Cesaro winning the ROH Championship. Doesn't make any goddamn sense, especially right out of the gate. And then so multiply that times 10, I would fucking lose my brain. Like that's how you lose an audience. Personally, I think Cody Rhodes needs to just go do his thing and eventually get Roman and win that championship, because his dad didn't care about the World Heavyweight Championship. He actually had the big gold belt. So the championship story doesn't make sense that way. For me, it's that WWE Championship, and that Dusty Rhodes and Goldust and Cody Rhodes did not fit the form of what a McMahon thought was champion. So
yeah, so he's got to wait till 3 years when Roman passes Bruno. Got it. Well, for me, I'm going to move on from Cody stuff because it gets me depressed a lot of times when we talk about it. And I'm going to talk about something that I really loved. I'll stick on Raw because honestly, I have most of my notes are SmackDown, but I do have 2 other things on Raw. I might save one for later, but one of them is Nestlemania. They're having Maxine come out with the Alpha Academy, and I can just say thank you. This is just so fun. Gable and Otis are already so good together, and you add Maxine like the firecracker to the mix, and it's just like it is an entertainment overload on my television throughout this entire segment, because all 3 of those characters just fucking burst out of the TV for you. They're so full of personality, and it's something that at first I was like, oh man, I hope like the male models thing, which has kind of been like a bottom tier, doesn't really drag down how awesome Alpha Academy is. But I think Alpha Academy is literally pulling them up. And obviously Maxine, we know, is the front person. So her just being out there and her obsession with Otis, and Alpha Academy continuing to succeed despite all this like little bit of dysfunction, because we know she likes Otis and not so much Gable. So I don't know. I'm just loving this. It's one of my favorite things on Raw every week. I eat it up. It's a little like it's that lighthearted fun, but also mixed with the good wrestling. And then Maxine being there, it's just like it's a triple threat, baby. A JC triple threat. You can have it all in these segments.
And if he has 2 more things, he can use his entire hand. I'm just saying. No, look, I agree with you on all points. Anything Maxine and the Gable and Otis, I think they're great. I saw a great meme of Otis doing the caterpillar, and then it showed like a girl like getting hosed, and it's like when Maxine sees the caterpillar, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ. But the one thing that bothers me, and I think it's just like, and we can have the Mark Henry argument where it's just like nobody's dead or buried. They can always be revamped or whatever. But when I watch the Viking Raiders, because they face the Viking Raiders in this matchup, I keep thinking to myself, how menacing can these guys be if they lose every goddamn match? And they were Raw Tag Team Champions. Their stuff with the Street Profits during COVID was one of the best things we'd seen in a long time. And obviously I'm a handsome Johnny guy, so Ivar is very close and near dear to my heart. Just to see him just like keep taking L's is just like, what? Like, I don't mind if we trade here and there because it's 50-50 booking. But at this point, it's like when they come on the screen, it's like, why would I fear them? Why would I invest my time in them as a fan? I don't fear them. I don't want to see them on my TV screen because they don't seem like there's any stock in anything they're doing. They're just out there parading and losing. And I just don't care. I think that's hard because then you put out an act like Otis, Gable, and Maxine, and it just comes in like a tidal wave over on them, and there's nothing you can do. And I've looked at the rest of the roster on Raw, and it just seems bad. It just seems like we're headed towards just some crap going forward. Like a lot of it's in disarray still, and we can blame it on Roman. We can blame it on the draft. We can blame it on many different things.
I mean, Paul Heyman being on Raw, even though he's on SmackDown, because
Yeah, I mean, we can get
Jack
into that in
matters. Go deep, baby. Yeah, no, that's shit. But that wraps up our Raw talk then, because we're gonna go to SmackDown Nestlemania, where I thought pretty much top to bottom the show was really good. I first want to shout out the new NXT acts on Friday Night SmackDown, the quick one there because it was a quick match. Isla Dawn and Alba Fire made their debut and squashed an NXT tag team. Actually, it was good to see you, Lisa Leone, I believe her name is back, and I actually think she tore her ACL like a year ago. Isla and Alba, I'm glad everyone got to see their tag finisher because it is one of the best tag finishers in the business right now. And the other half of the coin is my arrogant Aussie getting his debut of the Grayson Waller effect on SmackDown with AJ Styles. Played nice for most of it, but got the little dig in at the end. They're going to slow play it a little bit with him. I'm glad because Grayson's awesome. We know he's going to succeed, but it was good to see these two acts in particular from NXT. And then another one, which I know you're very excited to talk about, Pretty Deadly. Yes, boy! Get the big win over the Brawling Bruce in their debut. So 3 for 3 for NXT this week.
So if I can go backwards, I'll say Pretty Deadly, fantastic. Love them. Think it's wonderful. They're going to be great. I love things about Pretty Deadly, like them cooking, like a little bit of spice and a little bit of charisma.
That's
like,
where they're going to succeed in the main roster is the extra shit.
Yeah, and I think like the backstage, like we talked about last week, as well as just being infuriating with the way that they talk, the way they think they're very cocky, stuff like that. That's wonderful. But the other thing was not only did he get his fucking nose busted open, he still continued. So he's not just a pretty face. Secondly, they did a double team finish there, and then they cheated, and then he put himself back in the ropes. And I went like, that's the little stuff. That's the little stuff that separates you from the middle of the pack. Not that they're going to be tag champs right away, but these guys have an absolute high ceiling as a tag team. No one's
going to be tag champs, especially if the Tribal Cut gets his hands on them, baby.
I know, but like all I could think about was I just love Pretty Deadly. Going back
this is all I can think about when you talk about them.
Buy the shirt at tpublic.com/jobberknocker, the Nestle curse. That's what he's doing right now. The other thing that I think that is really interesting to me, and again, you kind of soften the blow here, which is fine. We can have a discussion if you want. Top of the hour, 9 o'clock, we had the Grayson Waller effect, which was fantastic. I love that he got the spotlight. Obviously, I think it was because of AJ that it was top of the hour, but honestly, he deserved the spot as Grayson Waller has a huge ceiling. But I will say it did bother me specifically that he wasn't as arrogant, brash, and like kind of he waited to the end to cut his legs out.
I think they were trying to set it up, but it wasn't set up as well as they probably thought it would be. But I agree because on NXT, he just was like nonstop fucking rude, dickhead, asshole. Like that's what we're looking for. That's why I love him. He's like one of my favorite guys since he's come on. He's been amazing. But yeah, no, definitely because I saw like obviously don't see SmackDown Live a lot of the time for various reasons. Last week it was the Celtics. So I had seen people's comments about it, and I was like, man, that would really suck if they kind of neutered him. And then I watched it and I'm like, yeah, he is kind of going kind of softy. But then when they did at the end, I'm like, okay, that's what they were going for. It just kind of didn't hit. So I would think going forward, I think it just being that Seth is getting all this treatment on Raw with the special packages and AJ doesn't really have those. I think for this segment in particular, they wanted to use it as a way to be like, this is about AJ Styles, but we also do it's a nice way to kind of work great and highlight what he can do. But we don't want him to steal everything from AJ. So that's just kind of the way I took from it. But I guess we'll see in the coming weeks if they continue to kind of neuter him a little bit or if they just let him loose. I'm hoping they let him loose, and I think they will because I'm assuming that this is going to lead to a match between these two again. They had a banger last time, so why not run it back? But yeah, that was the only little piece I had the similar concerns, but I think I got why they did it.
And then I wanted to definitely say this real quickly. Our boy Danny Grimwood hanging out with us saying, does it seem odd that there hasn't been any mention of the women's titles still being on the wrong shows? Now, I assume he means the Raw women's and the.
Oh yeah, well,
we can talk more about that in the heat if you'd like. But
the heat or the predictions because it doesn't make sense.
For me, it's weird too that we'll talk about that in a little bit, Danny. So thank you for that. The other thing would be that the NXT Women's Championship tag titles are on SmackDown technically, right?
Yeah, and they're not in the tournament to determine the new, or in the Final Four to determine the main roster change. It doesn't.
So I don't understand.
It's a fucking mess, man.
Yeah, it is. The draft this is probably the worst draft we've had.
They literally just did it to do it the weekend of the draft, and they had no plans to like make it effective. Like it's even more convoluted than it was before, and
it's tough. It's tough, but we should still hopeful. Do you have anything else you want to talk about that's very specifically Shine?
Yeah, LA Knight was finally back on TV. It took him fucking long enough. Fans have been clamoring for him, but he's been buried in the back, not even on TV. And it's like people talking about, oh, he's going to get this big push. I'm like, you sure? The guy can barely get on TV. I'm glad he was on TV this week. They did the weird thing where he teamed with Boogs, but I like that quickly. Boogs took the loss of the Profits because we know the Profits are pretty much the tag champs without having the tag titles for SmackDown. LA blames Boogs. Yeah. Because it's his fault, but it's nice. It was nice to see the guy that we're all clamoring for being featured on the freaking show. So it's glad that we're actually moving in the right direction. But my guess is he might be off TV this week because it's a go home for Night of Champions, and then it will be the follow up to Night of Champions. So he probably won't be on again. So might be short lived, but this is a guy that we want to see featured. So it was nice to see him featured.
I don't have anything else on. I don't think of anything else on SmackDown, personally.
Yeah, I'm done too.
Okay, I just want to go back to. I just want to go to Raw very quickly because I did really like a couple things, but I'll save a lot of it probably for later for other things we're going to talk about. But I will say there's something that I really loved, and it was Shinsuke Nakamura versus Finn Balor on Raw. We didn't talk about it. I think they treated both people like stars. And of course, Priest helps Finn win. So we get that whole thing where Priest still gets going on that whole thing. And I really enjoyed just watching Finn Balor on my television. So I just think that match was an NXT original kind of thing. And it was just, it fucking banged and I loved it. And I just thought that there's so much good there from Shinsuke because I feel like since she's been rejuvenated and come back, especially on Raw, I feel like they've treated him better and they've treated him like a star, not necessarily the star, but a star. And
he is a star. He is not the star.
No, he's not the star. I mean, we've talked about this with the ceiling, but I think that it's worth repeating that Finn Balor is on a fucking roll. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's just dialed in, obviously those abs, but it's just like, he's just doing such great work. And I feel like I didn't want that to go flying under the radar. And then another thing that I thought was a nice little piece of business here, was Apollo Crews and Dom. I shit my pants when Dom won. I went, holy shit. Like this guy came back from NXT and he's putting over Dom. Not that Dom's going to be the fucking greatest thing in the entire world, but
probably should be,
but like,
he should probably be the first ever World Heavyweight Champion. I think they dropped the ball. I'm not kidding.
People are rumorizing. That's a word.
Imagine having Seth having to chase him. Be so much more interesting than Seth fucking winning it and having fucking some random heel fight him.
Well, I think that Seth Rollins is going to have a rogues gallery of people to go through, but that's just me.
Yeah.
But Dominic, if they're rumoring that your boy Dom might be the Mr. Money in the Bank. So
that would be a good choice. That'd be a great choice because just think about all the things you're doing. They could have him hold that for a long, long time. You have the fucking whole faction with it. You have Mommy bailing him out. You have Finn bailing him out. You have Priesty bailing him out. It makes so much sense. And it would be such a nice aesthetic for that group, especially if like Finn and Priest won, if they do split those tag titles at some point and they were like the Raw tag team champions and the Judgment Day had those. And then Dom was holding the Money in the Bank. Like it would be a nice aesthetic with them. And yeah, but I don't know if I think they're actually going to do that, but I would love for that to happen.
The other thing too is just the visual of like if he had like a handcuff to the briefcase, it'd be great. It'd be fun. I don't like the way it feels. I don't like the way
he spray painted it. And
shit. Just making it Dom stuff. I guess we should get into the heat, can we? Get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. Where do we begin? Do you want to just talk about the shittiness that is the draft and the fucking wrong title since Danny brought it up?
Yeah, like it's just, I mean, I feel like I've hammered this every week with the fucking women's titles. It's just like, and now they're being defended again. Like Rhea's defending against Natalya, the SmackDown title, but 2 Raw superstars. And then Bianca's defending the Raw title on SmackDown against fucking it's my brain. It makes no sense. The women's tag titles, unfortunately, Liv got an injury and Dakota got an injury in that same match. They're both going to be out a long time. So Raquel is now teaming with Shotzi randomly, and they're in this fatal 4-way match.
Who's on SmackDown?
Yeah, well, the women's tag titles are the one exception I can make because those bounce between the shows. But it's just like you literally called up the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, and they're not in the tag title tournament. You also drafted the other women's tag team, who were the longest reigning NXT tag champs of all time, to Raw. They have yet to be on the show, and they don't even have a chance to be in this little like match. So it's just like, what are we doing with this scene? The singles titles make no fucking sense because they're on the wrong fucking shows with like no alignment of like changing the names or changing the titles or doing something or fighting opponents in the other show. It's just like nothing makes any goddamn sense. It's a fucking it's like a mind fuck of bad.
I don't disagree with you. I just thought it was hilarious that like I looked through the roster. I'm like, who would team with her on Raw? And I'm like, oh, that's right. They'll just fucking pluck
My hope
somebody out
was
of
to bring
obscurity.
back Aaliyah, who she fucking won the titles with the first time. But Aaliyah says she's cleared according to Twitter, and she's not being
She's
used.
somebody
So
that she's somebody they're not going to probably use. I mean, I think that's the ceiling with her. Unfortunately, I think that she's just gonna.
she's a perfect tag partner for Raquel as a fill-in. Like it's just one of those. Because if they would have done that, maybe they would have won. But yeah, no, Guthrie, that's what I just said too. Like how are Katana and Kaden not part of this? How are Isla and Alba not part of this? Like it's Sonya and Chelsea, it's Ronda and Shayna, it's Shotzi and Raquel, and then who's the fourth tag? Oh, Damage Control of Io and Bailey. So Io, who we were hoping was getting elevated as a single star, is now stuck back in the tag team with Bailey because Dakota got hurt. It's just like it's unfortunate. Like it's just the fucking disasters in women's wrestling between injuries and then WWE not giving a shit about the titles. And oh, by the way, on Raw, they have a 3-hour show. Do you know how many minutes of wrestling the woman got in the ring this week? Like
0?
3.5 to 4 minutes of actual wrestling.
Well, I can tell you that Raquel.
If we're gonna shit on AEW for it, which we do constantly, I gotta bring it up when WWE does it too, and they've been doing it a lot lately.
Raquel and Sonya was a jobber alert, by the way. So just it was under 3 minutes. So I mean, just saying. And then of course it was weird too because I think there was also Candice and Nikki. Was a jobber.
Candice and
Zoe.
Zoe. Yeah, we're in the heat. You can say her name now. Zoe Stark. Only mentioned.
I wasn't bringing her up. I was just saying it was a jobber alert. I know Josh likes to
who
JC loves to needle the big guff, the stuff. I just want to say
she belongs in the heat until I decide she doesn't belong in the heat.
Listen,
the rules, Chief.
Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. That's every time I see her. Squirrel nuts. That's what I'm gonna call her. She just looks like a squirrel to me. I can't help it. Or some type of chipmunk. Anyway, I'm gonna get
no issues with her looks.
I'm just saying, and Guthrie. All kidding aside, to Guthrie because I love Guthrie very much. And what did he say? 2-0, great vignette before the match. Nothing but shine. Try again next week.
If she's even on TV.
Oh my God. No, they'll make time for her, but she's going to be tomato cans for a while. So here's my thought process. And I said this to Guthrie on Twitter, but it's true. Like nobody's going to say that the wrestling's bad. There's just not. Although I feel like the women that take the Z360 don't take it properly. So she ends up like kneeing them in like their gut, which is not her fault. It's just like these women need to learn to take her fucking finish because it looks like shit or the camera works awful. One of the two. Because I think
going after Ray.
No, Ray's up in the fucking nosebleeds. It's not his fucking fault. But I'm just saying, like,
start a feud, man.
Ray and I have enough to feud over, like whether or not we want to get into it. So Ray's doing work in a whole other country right now. That's his problem. But I think the problem is Guthrie is that we've talked about there's no character development, and as a writer, as a filmmaker yourself, I would love to see. Oh, here we go. Camera shamer. Thanks, Danny. Out of nowhere. Every single time he shames me. Every single goddamn week.
You're the one doing the shaming. He just brings up and puts the observation out there of what you're shaming.
Well, I haven't shamed anybody yet. I've gotten 28 minutes into this program and I haven't shamed anybody. So it's okay. It's okay.
Pretty sure you just shamed the camera guy.
Just
one of Ray's coworkers. Shame on you, Adam. Shame on you.
Who the fuck is Adam? Jesus.
The good news for that camera guy is he's not eligible for the Nestle curse. tpublic.com/jobberknocker. Pick up your shirts today. Our boy Bertsky bought a shirt. I saw he tweeted at us. So shout out Bertsky.
Yes, and we will sign it for him. No, we won't. I doubt that very much.
He doesn't want us to sign it. Ruin it.
Speaking of which, this past weekend when I went to a wrestling show, a fan asked for my autograph. I thought that was very cool. Very, very cool. So I got to sign a trading card. I'm a nobody, so I just thought that was pretty cool. Very, very cool.
You got the nobody part right.
Anyway, Guthrie says her promo needs work. No arguments. She's the Dom threat. Sorry, no, she needs the Dom treatment. Excuse me. Put her into a faction, get her comfortable.
Natalia's always looking for tag team partners. Like I said last week, they're a match made in heaven, baby. Once Natalia lays down for Rhea, sign her up, baby. Not that this is going to be
I'll be interested to see how Guthrie feels because I know both of us would say absolutely not. But Zoe Stark did have a tag partner and win championships in NXT with Io I'm just saying we know that
Yeah,
that
show her on
works.
show though.
I'm just saying. No, Io's on. Io. Well, I guess she's technically on Raw. Never mind. So it
No,
doesn't
she's on
matter.
SmackDown.
No, but I'm saying like right now
Oh
she's
yeah,
on Raw.
right.
It doesn't matter.
There are
Like
other
they
shows.
can they can fucking make a magic magician thing and be like, pay
Man.
no attention to the fucking draft. I don't know.
You know what else I don't pay attention to, Nestle?
Yep.
Is these bloodline storylines. Because you know what? They're trying to hype up the 6-man tag on Raw. Surprise partner. When we all knew it was fucking Riddle. It was too busy showing his cock on Twitter. And it just like, I was like, for the love of God, can this just end? Can this just end? Can like the draft got KO and Sammy away from the bloodline so they could go have really cool fucking feuds and matches with real tag teams that aren't the fucking bloodline. But we're already sucked back in, and fucking Mr. Dick Boy is walking around with him like, sup, bro? I'm glad he's on his life. Good for you, Riddle. But like, good God, man. It's just like, I don't know. We're going to talk about what we think's going to happen Sunday, but there's so much potential with KO and Sammy. We've been waiting for them to be tag champs forever, like them to be as a tag team in WWE because of all the banners they could have. We've seen little pieces with Imperium and stuff. It's like there's so many good tag teams in WWE, and it's just like the tribal cuck's already cucking 2 singles titles. Now he's trying to cuck both sets of tag belts. It's like, get that motherfucker away from these fucking titles. I know it was my hope last week to make fun of all this shit, but seriously, like your product, the reason why some of it is suffering is because you're fucking just catering to one fucking dude who barely shows up and you're just fucking giving him everything. It's just like, it's the great part of WWE. And like the reason you have multiple titles, you have different divisions. So you can highlight all these different people at once. When everyone's sucked in the fucking Roman's black hole, it makes everything else shittier. Delete.
I didn't mind the piece of business there with nudging Solo. I thought that was a nice piece.
Yeah, the SmackDown stuff wasn't bad, but
I didn't think that was that bad.
I mean, Usos lost again. How do you feel about that?
I don't care because here's something I do want to bring up.
Greatest tag team of all time, and you just said you don't care.
Hold on. So Guthrie said it would be super funny if Solo and Roman win the tag titles, and then Roman makes the Usos carry the titles around for him like complete slaves. Yikes! I don't necessarily agree with that. But I do want to go back to what I just said. Something that I think is definitely worth repeating here. Again, layers upon layers in the bloodline. We know that. But the other thing that I thought was really interesting for me was up until now, until they lost the titles, he would talk about, he being Roman, saying the Usos are the greatest tag team champions of all time. But then he dedicated the upcoming match to what he said was the greatest tag team of all time, the Wild Samoans. I don't even know if the Wild Samoans had been tag champions, to be honest with you. If it was,
they had to be.
If it was probably for a fucking minute. You know what I mean? Like they are not they are not the best tag team ever. They are not even in the top 25. They're not even in the top 50, in my opinion.
He should have just said Rikishi and Scotty 2 Hotty.
I mean, even throwing a Grandmaster Sexay. I mean, you can't. But like, but that little nugget there made me go like, oh, he changed his mind. And like it's just interesting, like little bits and pieces. And when you start talking in long form, I'll look up and see if the Wild Samoans actually have won the WWF Tag Team Champions. But I doubt it. If they did, it couldn't have been for very long, personally, in my opinion.
They probably have some other promotions that WWE just adopts, so they can call them that kind of thing.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. At least like the LWO they lost to was, I believe it was Ray and Santos. So Santos got a win. Good for him. It's like his first win since he's been called up. I think the poor guy's been nothing to be win. But yeah, I mean, like the storytelling part of like Roman kind of showing fear of Solo. Like again, I say this all the time. It's like when Roman's there, like he is amazing. He's really good. It's like they're putting us on this ride. This fucking we're in the third inning bullshit, and it's just like. The little pieces of greatness aren't outweighing the rest of it now. And then like the effect that you and the way you are just doing your business is just affecting literally everything. The draft was supposed to like fix it for Raw, but it's just like much like the women's titles, the fucking tag titles they haven't addressed. They made a new title to fucking that Roman was cucking. They're going to probably do the same thing when he wins the tag titles and goes away. So it's maybe we get some of those like different things. So Judgment Day can win the Raw tag team titles. And we can actually have Raw teams feud but whatever. But it would be kind of lame if KO and Sammy just kind of dropped these things immediately. And we never even got like some of those other dream matches with a lot of these other great tag teams in WWE. So I don't know. They're going to have a big hump they have at Night of Champions for the tag division that will really determine the future of where this division is going.
So I am clearly not interested in wrestling apparently before 1980 because they have won 3 times. So
Wow. In your
and
face,
in
Nestle.
and sizable reigns, 119 days being their
Yeah.
longest
Wow.
reign. So I just wanted to put egg on my face apparently
I
because I'm
wasn't
wrong.
alive, so I take no responsibility for your
So here's
ineptitude.
here's you do that argument all the time. It wasn't. It was before my time.
It
Before my
was.
time. You're
Yeah.
full of shit. You remember shit for the Cowboys that happened before you were born. I bet.
Not as much as you would think.
Eh.
I lived the golden era, baby. I was a little boy. I don't remember much of it, but that's why I liked them. And then since then, they've done nothing but poop on my face.
Speaking of poop on the face, I got no synergy there. I'm very curious how you feel about some of this shit because when I go to SmackDown, I personally feel like some of this is kind of like whatever. Like Zelina and Asuka, like what the fuck? It just doesn't work for me. And then of course,
They're doing complete shit with this Bianca Asuka feud.
yeah,
So that's just
it's
kind of
it's
what it
it's
comes down to.
fucking terrible. And then I guess I'll go over to. So we didn't talk about this Theory promo gets interrupted by Sheamus. It's a thing. Like I guess the match will be good, but like there's no rhyme or reason to it in my opinion. It just kind of happens, and that's
I mean,
fine.
Sheamus is like the top of the mid card, and in theory, is the mid card title, and neither of them are challenging Roman, so the feud makes sense. It's just, yeah, I mean, it's a shame, pun intended, that Sheamus is now on the opposite show
It's
of
a
the IC title again. So.
shameful thing, lobster head. So I do want to talk about something we didn't really get a chance to talk about, and I don't know if it necessarily is here to be heady, but it is interesting to be talking about. And I know Danny's going to be perking up because we're talking about Seth Rollins, but they did a 2-parter package. And they said the line about I love Roman Reigns, I don't like him, and they went out of their way to kind of like basically shit on him, being like not a great champion because that's what the fans feel. And I'm curious how you felt watching those things because I felt like the second one, he at least made it feel like the championship was a big deal because he's talking about the tides of change. And then, of course, on the other side of that, you hear AJ Styles says, yeah, it's a secondary title. So that makes you think automatically AJ Styles has no fucking chance anyway. But I'm curious how you felt watching those things because he is off on a sabbatical for a couple weeks.
I mean, I mostly zone out during these because they're not like I've liked to shit on Seth most of his career, but he is really good. But a lot of the times with stuff like this, like especially when he's a babyface character, I don't find him as interesting. I just don't think he's interesting when he talks. When he's an asshole, he's interesting. But so it's one of those like I don't know, but they can do whatever they want with this title. The only way that like you sell this being like legit is you continue to hammer down that the previous champion for this title was Randy Orton in 2013. And now Seth Rollins will be the next one in that lineage because that's the only like leg that this title has to stand on. Is it? There is a long lineage with good history and a ton of good champions and a lot of the history with it being sometimes the top title in WWE, more prestigious and held by guys that were the top guys, So, but it's just at the end of the day, it's like this title, it has no chance. And Seth winning it, it's just going to feel hollow because he didn't beat Roman to get it. And until it's just one of those things like until either Roman loses the other title and this one's elevated, or God forbid Roman wins this one too, or someone with this title beats Roman for the other titles, like it's never going to have a chance. It's a consolation prize. It is what it is. Seth can say whatever the fuck he wants. He can call it the working man's fighting I show up every week title. That's great. It's still the third fucking world title in WWE because Roman has the other two over his shoulders. So it's great. It'll be a great accomplishment. Beating AJ Styles is a great accomplishment. The people that he beats on Raw, it'll be a great accomplishment. But you know what? It's not the accomplishment because the accomplishment is on fucking Roman Reigns' shoulders. And until his shoulders are on the mat for a 3 count or that little fucking Samoan hand goes tap, 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 don't mean shit.
So this actually spearheads something I think I kind of want to go into my hope that you kind of sparked.
Glorious. Do it.
Okay, so I know this is not going to happen, but this is why we're here, folks. We like to make things better. We hope for things, right? I was thinking about this the other day, and then you sparked my brain not 30 seconds ago. How to make this championship relevant or how to make this championship feel special. Now, we are going to Saudi Arabia. They just fork over money. You can do a lot with this on Saturday if you so please. But I thought about this an awful lot, and I think this would help. I wouldn't necessarily say cure the problem we have with what you just laid out, JC, but I'm trying to be a little bit more positive in this aspect because, again, everybody's kind of doom and gloom with this World Heavyweight Championship, and yeah, everybody has a right to. But I was thinking about this. Why not just parade all the important world heavyweight champions out there, like a Triple H, a Ric Flair, a Batista, an Undertaker, and have them all out there to try to make it feel like it's a big deal while they're watching this match or something, or have like a big ceremony with Seth Rollins on Monday night or something, where it's like they just have some pomp and circumstance with it. Because then at that point, it's like, okay, if Triple H is the first person to give him the championship, or if other people that were, fantastic world heavyweight champions in the past, like you talked about, lineage with Randy Orton, maybe Randy Orton is out there with a fucking brace and then all of a sudden fucking RKO's him and then there we are. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? But you could do a whole host of different things like that and masquerade it that way. And then you're into a feud. Like, you could do that. And again, Randy's probably not anywhere close to doing that, but I'm just trying to think outside the box here, because I think having the lineage is important, but also making some pomp and circumstance with it, not pyro and fucking all that shit, because we get that all the time nowadays. But I think having some type of somebody of importance to really sell that is going to be important going forward right out of the gate for me. So that's my hope. I think we can do that. And if I was booking that, I would do it that way. I think having an amazing, if Randy Orton came out of nowhere with that, I would fucking lose it. I mean, that would be fucking incredible, but it's not going to happen. But I think that would be great. I would jump out of my seat. So that's my hope.
So since it's called the Cody Consolation Prize title, one-armed Cody should have to hand it to Seth Rollins. There you go. There's your presenter. Much like Bret Hart presented the AEW title, which he never held, Cody can present the Cody Consolation Prize, which he will never hold.
So I'm curious, like, not necessarily your hope, but like, is there something that you could concoct that would actually make you go, you know what, this ain't so bad?
No. It's one of those things. Like, it can be awesome. They can have awesome matches. The Intercontinental title is my favorite title, Nestlemania. It is a mid-card title, which means it is not on the level of the top titles, but it is my favorite title. Some of my favorite champions were Intercontinental champions, are Intercontinental champions. Some of my favorite matches are Intercontinental matches. The World Heavyweight Championship can have all that too. It can be great. But at the end of the day, it is the third world title in WWE. It is fucking behind Roman's 2 titles. And until someone beats Roman, like, that's how it is. That's just how it is. It can't change.
Okay, so let's say they somehow give him a new championship. It's only one strap. Does that make you feel better?
No, that doesn't mean shit. You're still under Roman. Even if you want to say, oh no, technically 2, because Roman, the 2 titles are really 1 title.
But if he gets rid of 2 titles and he only physically carries 1, does that help?
Then it's still number 2, but it's still be number 3 to the ones of us who know, who aren't fucking morons.
So let me throw out this comparison.
You can put lipstick on a pig, Adam, but it's still a pig. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the pig.
Adam?
Pigs are great. We love pigs. We love to eat pigs. We love to hang out with pigs. Alexa Bliss has pet pigs, but that doesn't mean it's not a pig. A pig is a pig is a pig, and there's nothing wrong with a pig, but it's still a fucking pig. It's the end of the day. It's just what it is.
So let me ask this the question then. Why can a boxer have multiple championships from different places come out, and it's the same kind of thing with Roman Reigns? You know what I mean? Like, I don't.
They're not from different places. They were the 2 championships in WWE that he combined because he won them both. And I see Guthrie's comment in the chat. Roman did beat Seth during this. He like cheated or something. But they had a match and Roman won the match. So I think
it was a DQ. It was a DQ.
Yeah, but guess what? Roman doesn't win any of his shit fucking clean. So it's a consolation prize.
All right. Well, then why don't you get hopeful in your own way?
Here's my hope. We're getting ready for this fatal 4-way women's tag title tournament. Ronda and Shayna take out Shotzi because they don't like her. Out comes Aaliyah to reunite with Raquel. They win the women's tag titles. We go back to where we started before Aaliyah's injury, and we just kind of reset the whole thing. And then we start with Ronda and Shayna wreaking terror on everyone. Alba and Isla wreaking terror on everyone. Casey and Kaden, underdog story. We have a fucking division in the women's tag titles now, and it's awesome. And I want Ronda and Shayna to hold them at some point, but my fear is that if you give them to them right away, they are just going to fucking steamroll all the women's tag teams, and it's just going to make it, okay, well, we're kind of in the spot where we always are, where there's not real contenders because they already beat them. So I wouldn't mind them slow playing a little bit with the fatal 4-way. So why not bring my girl Aaliyah back, get her off the horse track, put her back with Raquel, and they can gallop their way to a victory. My hope, short and sweet. Hashtag JC knows. Hashtag JC's hopes come true. Women's tag titles.
I would just like to tell Guthrie he is absolutely 100% unequivocally wrong. as Wikipedia has the Royal Rumble from 2022 saying that Seth Rollins defeated Roman Reigns by disqualification, 14 minutes, 25 seconds by DQ. DQ. So I know Wikipedia is not necessarily the most authentic, but it does say that it is a DQ, Guthrie. So you are wrong. If you'd like to go back and watch it and tell me differently, go right ahead. But that's what it says on the old wiki page. So it's time to give our comebacks out before we get to a whole host of big shit. So my comeback goes to Bronson Reed, because every time I watch this guy, I go, I'm not fucking impressed. And then he fucking cuts a promo and I'm like, hey, he's not so bad. And then he fucking has a banger against Ricochet on Monday. And I thought to myself, now that's a fucking match right there. Like, it's two guys, like the big guy versus the fast guy. And then the fucking tsunami hits. And I'm just like, you know what? It's convincing. And I kind of like where it's going. Like, I feel like we're trying to get to a point where, like, I don't like him. I don't. He's not
good
for me.
Him. That's why he's succeeding.
Yes, exactly. It's the
Republic.com/Jobberknocker.
It's the curse. It's a reverse curse, if you will. It's a rally cap,
baby.
The reverse curse. I don't like him, but I can see the value in him, and I can see what they're trying to do. He can move, and like every time I watch, I go, you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay with it. Now, will he get the Intercontinental Championship? Probably not anytime soon.
He will at some point.
But he's a decent mid-card act. He really is, and he's starting to show his personality. I just hope that there's more to him, because he's got a great ending to his matches, right? Like, he's like, him coming off the top rope is fucking great, and then Corey yelling "Tsunami!" Like, that's great. Like, it's good stuff. But I need a little bit more. But that match against Ricochet was fucking awesome. Just awesome. And I think he deserves credit, because a lot of people sleep on him and a lot of people don't like him. So I think you guys should just shut up and let him do his thing. That's my comeback.
I think the criticism is fair, because in NXT, like, he had the North American title, and like, he did have a lot of good matches, but it was the same kind of things we say about Zoe Stark. It's like, shocker, another Guthrie person. But it's just like, where is the character? I will say, though, on Raw, we're getting little pieces of him where he's showing a little bit of personality. And I'm like, there's something there. They haven't figured it out yet, but it's there. It's like, there's a lot of talented people in the back. They got to figure out how to get it out of him, because there is something there. He has a good look. His in-ring style is fun. He can have great matches with Bobby Lashley. He can have great matches with Ricochet, which means he has range in the ring. You just got to unlock that final piece. And I think they'll get there with him, because this is a guy that, like, I've always wanted to not like, but he's one of those guys that I was just kind of like, I could always use the boring excuse with him down at NXT. But like, since he's come back, and I've kind of hinted at the last couple of weeks, like, I've pretty much been putting him in the shine whenever he wrestles, because I'm enjoying the experience with him. They just got to turn that final key to really get that engine pumping, but it's there. They just got to figure it out.
In my head, it popped in, like, imagine him being in Money in the Bank and doing Tsunami off the ladder through a table.
You'd be a good big guy choice to put in the match.
That'd be a fucking awesome spot. Like, the minute he puts somebody through a fucking table with Tsunami, that's going to fucking look devastating. Devastating if he doesn't kill his fucking knees on the way down. But, like, I don't know. I just look at him and I think, like, he can do it. It's just, he just needs a little extra push. Not like push him, but like he needs something.
Yeah, no, he just needs to be literally pushed and he'll be there.
Yeah. Like, he's the immovable object. Give him a nudge. Give him a nudge with the old pencil. I'm sorry. Did you already give your comeback?
Nope, we're going to my comeback now, because I'm going to AEW, because Nestlemania, #Pop Don't Lie, our favorite cowboy, maybe the only cowboy we like, Adam Hangman Page, returned with a goddamn eye patch last week in all its glory. Absolutely loved it. The Elite is back together, yada yada. They're facing the BBC, which we're going to talk about here in a moment at Double or Nothing. But you know what? Hangman's the man. This is a guy that I remember, like, we were so critical of. We were the first AEW show in Boston. I turned to you and I said, I was like, why the fuck is he getting pyro like in this? But it's one of those things. He figured it out. They knew it was there. He figured it out, and the guy's fucking awesome. So it's good to see the cowboy back. Good to see him back with his buddies, because that match, as much as I'll like to shit on stuff like that, it's probably going to be a lot of fun.
It's funny because we don't say enough good things about AEW on this program. But that storyline, like long term with the Elite, and then like them being a tag team, Kenny and Hangman, and then them going against each other, and he beats Kenny, and the Bucks gave him a little nudge after he won, and then they won't they, the whole thing, like it's just played out in such a great way. And then on Wednesday last week, they said the whole thing about like we are the heart and soul of this fucking place, and I was just like, oh my god, it's one line, but I believe it. I believe it. And then of course they're facing the big black cocks, and like it'll be fun in Anarchy the Arena. I'm sure it'll be a lot of a lot of barroom brawling. I think the issue that I have is that I don't believe the Blackpool Combat Club can have a funny spot. The
Because
Elite
they have two people with no personality.
They have Wheeler
They
Yuta,
have two wrestlers with no personality.
fantastic in the ring, but no personality. Cesaro can have personality. He's just not there. John Moxley takes himself way too fucking seriously.
Yeah, but we've seen Moxley can fucking do it.
No, I know, but
like,
he's not.
He has some of the greatest
Moxley
comedy spots in WWE history. Like he can do it, and we know what Brian can do.
But he doesn't.
I'm not worried about those guys.
He's not.
Yeah, but he's with the Elite. I think he'll be willing to do a little bit of haha, just like they got to bleed after, because that's kind of the thing. It's like every laugh that I give is how many times I get to cut my forehead. That's the deal with Moxley.
I just and here's the thing: people can say things about Bryan Danielson, but there's something about him in this group I just don't believe. Like there's something about it just doesn't fit for me. Like I'm not saying I don't want him alone. Just something about a heel Bryan Danielson on his own is fine, but with these other yucks, like I don't love it. I don't fall in love with it. You know what I mean? Like there are a lot of people who are like,
sucks. Wheeler Yuta's terrible. He brings the whole group down. Moxley's character has always been a fucking lone wolf, so it makes no fucking sense. And then, like you said, like Brian, it just like it feels like he has to play sidekick a lot of the time. It's like he's not a fucking sidekick. He's the guy who has sidekicks. Fucking sign Redbeard and run back the fucking the brown paper bag championships and that shit with Brian. It's a weird group that makes no goddamn sense. And it was obviously built around a guy who literally isn't there anymore because he went back to the E. So it's just like I don't know. It's one of those things that I'm surprised they've kept it together this long. But obviously, if Moxley's not fighting for the world title, he's going to be involved in big things. So you have him in this group, and he can fight all the big groups in AEW. But yeah, it's a weird dynamic for sure.
I cannot wait for the Blackpool Combat Club to win the 6-man tag titles, and the whole world will go meh, because nobody will care. Not one person will care. But that's just that by there.
Titles at all.
Should we get into the rest of the portion of the show here?
Yeah, we're going to the big all finish, and we are going to start with Night of Champions. That is first, but quickly on NXT, Gigi and JC, like we said, are having their weaponized steel cage match. That should be a banner. Not obviously a lot else really announced coming up because we have the show. So we're going to get right into. We're going to fly across the world to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia for Night of Champions, where I don't think all championships are being defended, so it's a fucking fraud event, but maybe they add. As of now, there's no Austin Theory U.S. title match. They obviously could add him versus Sheamus, so there's still a chance for that. And the women's tag titles will definitely not be defended there because they're defended on Raw. So this will be a fraud pay-per-view, but there are some good stuff on there, so we shall see. But Nestlemania, we're going to start off with something that I just realized we never talked about in the Shine or the Heat, so I guess we can talk about it here. Becky Lynch will take on Trish Stratus in the singles match.
So a lot of people said Trish Stratus was terrible in this promo on Monday. I didn't necessarily think so. The only problem is that Becky had more ammo. Becky had way more ammo. She said, woof, woof, bitch. It's just going to be embarrassing, like, walking like a dog and shit. But all I could think about was how many embarrassing things did Becky Lynch have to go through, like the Irish jig or like, and I did appreciate, Trish Stratus saying, oh, like it didn't take a broken nose to get me over. And I was like, oof, like that was a good one. The problem is that Becky Lynch is just so much better at insults. She's just better at insults. And I think that's a huge part of who she is. But I don't necessarily agree with the rest of the people saying that Trish Stratus was that bad. I personally want to see Trish Stratus win this. And I think I've said this before on the program. I want Trish Stratus to win Money in the Bank. I want her to cash in on somebody. I want Becky to chase her and Becky win it. Just because I think it'll work. But that's just me, because I don't think Trish is gone, and I don't think Trish should lose right out of the gate here if we have more than one match. So that's just where I'm gonna pick Trish.
I agree with you. This promo wasn't as bad as people said. It definitely was probably her worst promo since she turned heel. But I think you kind of danced around it. But like when Becky does promos, she's kind of like the reason, like a lot of the things that you always criticize The Rock for is I feel like Becky does a lot of the same things as like, she's so overpowering and like insulting in her promos that it really does cut down the competition. So I feel like people, when it's like a lot of times when you have like the art of a great promo is like when you're cutting a promo on somebody, you're making them look good at the same time. A lot of times Becky's just mostly burying people, which again, that's her character. So it works. But I think that's part of the reason like Trish can't hang with that. Becky's a much better shit talker, but I didn't think it was as bad. I also agree. I would like to see Trish win, but I don't know. It's weird because we always talk about these Saudi events, and sometimes things of consequence happen, but they're mostly just kind of a house show. So when in doubt in a match, I'm just going to go with the baby face. So give me Becky Lynch to pick up the win.
Oh, wow. The Beckster. All right, that's fine. By the way, TJ did not put that match in. So, TJ, you're on my shit list because there's 22 fucking matches we got to go through. So, come on, TJ.
I'm
Do
Nestle.
better.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. Get over it, Adam. We go to the next match of Night of Champions, and I just fucking closed everything.
Do you want me to do one since
okay, you're back? No, we're back. We're back. They put all the women's matches in a row, and I don't want to forget one, so we're just going to go in order. Singles match for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship between two Raw superstars. Rhea Ripley defends against Natalya. I mean, this is a Rhea Ripley win all day. There's not much to say here.
He also did not put this match in as well, so hold on one second. Rhea Ripley obviously wins this matchup because Natty doesn't need to exist in wrestling anymore. She's good.
That's mean.
No, Natty.
Who is Zoe Stark supposed to tag with Adam?
Who the fuck is Adam? And honestly, Natty should just fucking be a trainer at NXT because she's the best trainer for the women.
Yeah, but what if she wants to be a wrestler? You can't make people do what you want them to do.
Sure you can. It's called
she's gonna be that job someday, but she's still got plenty left in the tank.
So you asked for
she has a lot. She has a lot to give. Don't be a hater.
I'm not hating.
The crowd's gonna go mild.
It's
like we always actually. She gets pretty good receptions in Saudi Arabia. I will say that.
Danny's sitting here trying to aggravate us. By the way, he said Trish should win Money in the Bank and cash in on the NXT Women's Championship and then defend it on Raw. Shame on you, Danny.
I mean, that the way they're booking in WWE right now, titles, it would make fucking sense. So he might be
Don't
right.
you dare. Don't you
shout
dare
out,
do that.
Shout out Tiffy time. We'll get there soon. Next up, we got to keep moving, Nestle. We got to get this show on the road. Singles match for the Raw Women's Championship. Bianca Belair in the rematch against Asuka. They didn't do it at WrestleMania, which thinks they might do it here. But man, I don't know. I'm just going to pick Bianca, but this is probably the one I feel the least confident about.
I am not going to pick against Super Belair at this point in my life. I just don't see that happening. I just
Probably
don't.
Smart. It was kind of like the rule when we used to do picks back at work, and Billy said never pick against the Bellas, and he was always usually right. So, next up, we go to a singles match for the Intercontinental Championship. Gunther defends against Mustafa Ali, who is stepping into the Mansoor role. I'm going to take Gunther because I don't see him losing to Mustafa Ali.
So I agree with you. Gunther was going to win this thing. Even didn't matter who was going to get picked to win this. But he did have a great promo on his Twitter. Go check it out about him in the car and talking about people that are, look like him, sound like him, have a name like him, and what he has accomplished, which he doesn't think he's accomplished anything. So this is important for him. So he made a really good case for himself. Unfortunately, he's up against a fucking buzzsaw chop machine like Gunther. So he ain't fucking winning. The end.
Imperium reigns supreme. Next up, we have the first of 3 main events. God, I fucking hate it so much. Shit like that.
But what's the main event? Like, what's the main one? The one that goes on last?
I don't know, and I don't care because it literally doesn't matter. Tag team match for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defending us. It's probably going to be this match because that's fucking the Bloodline. Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. Jesus, with Paul Heyman. I mean, this one, it's like you could make a good argument either way. I would like to see Kevin and Sami somehow hold on to these titles, but by doing that, you damage Roman or Solo, more than likely Solo. So by default, I'm going to pick Roman and Solo with the expectation that they probably won't win, but I don't know. This one, it's a weird one. This is probably the one match on the card I'm really intrigued to see. Even as much as I've shit on the Bloodline stuff, it's like, this is I mentioned it earlier, it's such a pivotal point for these titles. Like, this is like such a hinge match for the future of these titles that I kind of want to see it, but I'm going to pick the Bloodline.
Wow. I am going to pick Cammy because Sammy and KO, Cammy, they need to win. They need to break away, and I think we're headed for a different, direction here with the Usos versus Solo and Roman at some point, I would think. So I'm gonna hope and pray, because when you go against Roman
They
Reigns,
can
you're
do that
usually
whether they
wrong.
have the titles or don't have the
No, I
titles.
know.
Though, so.
You're right. You're right. You're right. I'm praying to Christ that this works out in the favor of all of us. And if Roman Reigns holds all 4 championships, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna fucking lose it. Like this, my brain might melt. I might
And
cry.
that's why they're going to do it, because
No,
that's what
I
they did
know.
to us at
I know.
WrestleMania.
I know.
Oh, all right. Second of the 3 main events, it is the tournament final for the inaugural World Heavyweight Championship. Seth freaking Rollins, who has a cloudy history here in Saudi Arabia, taking on the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. This seems like, besides Rhea Ripley, the second biggest layup on the card. Well, Gunther too. Give me Seth Rollins.
I agree with you. Seth Rollins has had way too much time on TV talking about the importance, and AJ Styles poo-pooed this championship, so I don't think they're going to reward him with that. The end.
He's also on the Raw show.
That doesn't matter.
Again, that hasn't stopped them with any other titles, so maybe AJ does win.
Ain't
Next
no
up, we have the
Sorry.
third of 3 main events. I don't know if it's going on last. It'll probably be first or last, because so Brock can get the fuck out of there after he murders Cody. Singles match, Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar. And you know what, Nestlemania? That Brock Lesnar should be a layup, but you know what? Cody gonna Cody. He's done it before. I'm gonna pick fucking Cody to win this fucking thing by somehow. He 3-0'd Seth Rollins, so who knows? Maybe he 3-0's fucking Brock Lesnar. So give me Cody in the upset.
I cannot believe your loyalty to this man is unmatched.
It's not loyalty. I'm just sometimes with WWE with their fucking shit, you just have to go the complete opposite direction because it don't make no goddamn sense, brother.
Give me Bork Laser. He's gonna win.
Okay.
Brock Lesnar for the win and the block. That's it for all that we got there for whatever. We're gonna do NXT next.
We're gonna fly back now to Lowell, Massachusetts, the site of NXT Battleground, where many of our friends and listeners of the show will be in attendance. I sadly will not be there. I have other plans, but we have 6 matches. It looks like a Banen card, no matter what our boy Dami Fed says, who doesn't think it's a good card, but I just think he hasn't been watching NXT because all these matches have had very good storylines. But so you know what? We're gonna start from the bottom with the newest match added to the card, and that is a tag team match for the NXT Tag Team Championships. We've been waiting for this matchup for a while. The Gallus Boys of Mark Coffey and Wolfgang, with Joe Coffey taking on the Creed brothers, Brutus and Julius, likely with Ivy Nile. These are some big boys. There's a lot of meat in this ring, Nestlemania. And you know what? I feel like this probably going to be a little schmoz here, because they kind of had the thing on NXT last night where Tony got arrested. So Stacks actually came out and helped the Creeds, and they said, well, you're going to get the first shot at the championships. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking there's something murky going on here. So I'm going to take the Gallus Boys to retain somehow.
I feel like the Gallus Boys need it. I don't necessarily think that the Creeds need it at this point. Like, they've already accomplished something. So that's why I feel like Gallus continues to continue. And imagine Gallus with Tony and his family. That'd be interesting too.
Yeah, there's something definitely going on there, but Tony is in jail, as we saw from those segments last night. NXT has the most fun fucking random shit. I love the treatment they give these storylines. They make everybody feel important. Next up, we have a match that they fought all over the arena last night. They started the show and they ended the show with violence. That is the last man standing match between Ilya Dragunov and Dijak. Dijak, the hometown boy for this one. This match is probably going to be fucking awesome, because these guys are going to beat the living fuck out of themselves. And I'm going to pick Dijak here to pick up the hometown win.
I am also going to pick Dijak because, again, hometown victory here. And I feel like Ilya might be going to Imperium in the next couple of months. So I feel like he's going to go on the fucking farewell looking at the lights tour. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't disagree with that. That'll be good. Next up, we're going to get there, Guthrie. I see your comments, but that match is actually higher on this list. Random list that I'm looking at. Next up, triple threat match for the NXT North American Championship. Wesley defense against Tyler Bate and Joe Gacy. I have loved this little weird storyline with Wesley and Tyler Bate being friends, and Wesley's all mad at him now because he thinks Tyler was just using him to get the title. And the line that I loved from Wesley last night, being like, you know what? The reason I don't have a problem with Joe Gacy is because he's told me from the beginning what he wants. He hasn't tried to hide it. And I'm like, for something that feels random, when you look at these 3 guys just being in a match, I'm like, in rings, I'm not worried about, because all 3 of these guys are fucking awesome. But I was like, they've added some fun elements to make this match really feel cool. But you know what? Wesley's on such a run, and I think that run's going to continue since the triple threat. So give me Wes Lee, but I am very intrigued to see this match. This is probably probably now the third match most anticipated on this card for me, because another match got a bump based on some recent results. So
I will also pick Wes Lee only because the issue I have is that I feel like Joe Gacy doesn't necessarily scream. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't scream champion in NXT.
Well, they lost two of their roots too, I think. So
yeah, I think
that tree's a little dry.
It's hollow, if you will. So that's going to be rough going forward. But I maybe Tyler Bate could win, but I just feel like Tyler Bate will eventually just go somewhere else. Like I don't know, like Wesley, like you said, on a fucking roll. Let's go.
Yeah, there's one of the. I'm curious to see what they do with the storyline with Wes and Tyler, because I don't know if they really want to turn either of them heel. So I'm curious how they do it. But next up, we have the match that Guthrie was pounding the table for in the comments, the British Rounds Rules match for the NXT Heritage Cup. As he noted, it is the first ever time this will be defended in the States. The Supernova Noam Dar, you remember him from this little couplet with Alicia Fox. Alicia Fox back in the day, defending against Dragon Lee. Obviously, Dragon Lee is must-see TV. And I think this is, I'm not super familiar with these rules. I've seen these matches. But
oh my God,
I feel like it's one of those things. It's like, it's kind of Noam Dar's thing. He's had this thing for a long time, but it could be a way to give Dragon Lee something. Also, like, I'm not sure how they want Dragon Lee taking this first singles L on a pay-per-view, so I'm going to pick him. But I also think it was interesting that last night on NXT, Nathan Frazier actually pinned Noam Dar after a little distraction from Dragon Lee. So I'm wondering if maybe that factors in with like a little heel turn that we wouldn't expect, costing Dragon Lee or something. But I'm going to pick Dragon Lee, but I think this one might not be as safe as it seems.
You ready? You ready for the fucking rules? It says British Rounds Rules. You want me to read all these fucking things for you real quick? Matches consist of 6 3-minute rounds with a 20-second break in between each round. Matches are 2 out of 3 falls. That doesn't make any sense to me. Falls can be won by pinfall, submission, or countout. Once a fall occurs, the round ends. The match ends when one wrestler has won 2 falls. And then the event of a disqualification or knockout, the match instantly ends. There's no need for 2 falls. And if all 6 rounds are completed, whoever is ahead wins the match. It's like, what?
Yeah,
what?
So it's like pretty much you can win by finish if you get 2 falls. If not, it goes to like a decision, quote unquote, at the end. So it's kind of like, no, it's just kind of more like a boxing / UFC, like that type of match.
I can't.
But it's different. It's not something that we're obviously familiar with, because, you know, I would say this is why Danny calls you a Brit shamer, because you're shitting all over their culture right now with their rules.
Then leave it over there. Don't bring it in fucking America. Don't make
there is no over there anymore, buddy.
They have an NXT Europe coming.
Yeah, but it's not here yet. So you just want the Supernova to just sit over there with his cup and let that cup rot? No, baby. No, baby. You got to defend that thing. And you know what? I give him credit for trying it here out. Because, you know, you're a shamer. You're a shamer. That's all it is.
You pick Dragon Lee. I pick Noam Dar. There you go. Okay, there you go. Okay.
Yep. Because you love Alicia Fox. Speaking of Alicia Fox, she's a woman. Next up, the tournament final for the vacant NXT Women's Championship. Surprise winners last night in NXT. Lyra Valkyria actually defeated Cora Jade in the opener to advance to the finals, but then took a vicious beatdown, so her arm is not in good shape. And then Tiffy time happened in the main event when she knocked off Roxanne Perez clean. And then the mystery parking lot attacker actually took out Roxanne. But it does seem like Tiffy has a big advantage here with Lyra dealing with that arm injury. It does feel like Tiffy time. I'm ready for a whole bunch of Tiffany epiphanies, because Tiffany Stratton is going to be the next NXT Women's Champion.
I will also pick Tiffany because she's a complete character, and I feel like I don't understand Valkyria as much yet.
Yeah, she's kind of got hot-shotted, but I mean, when you see her in the ring, you get it. But the character is weird, but I do enjoy watching her. So
I mean, she's not bad. She's not bad in any sense. I just feel like I don't understand the character, so I can't get behind her. She's fantastic in the ring, though.
Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely a thing there, but I think sometimes with some of these NXT characters, We have to see more of them. And I think by giving her a spotlight like this, it's a thing because we already know everything we need to know about Cora and Roxanne. Part of Roxy's build back is that she's got to get beaten down and stuff, like whatever. And Cora, like we know, she's just a big cheater, so she'll have her time. But the reason why I was surprised, because I really thought we were gonna have a Cora Roxanne final, but I was pleasantly surprised because I'm like, this is interesting. You're giving these two kind of the spotlight, and you're giving Tiffy time. But Nestlemania, we're going to the main event. The reason why this card is in Lowell, Massachusetts, the battleground, the main event, the rematch for the singles match for the NXT Championship. Carmelo Hayes with his boy Trick Williams will defend against probably one of the better NXT heels we've had in a long time, and already in such a short span. Complete 180 on this guy. Braun Breaker's been fucking awesome, and I have high expectations for this match. And I'm going to pick, obviously, Melo to retain, but I think it's going to be a banner.
I laughed really hard when I saw him going to the barber shop. He's like, why is everybody so upset? What's the matter? Like it just doesn't seem as popping as it usually is. I just thought it was great. I'm picking Melo because he's my boy, and I just want to see him fucking do awesome stuff. So, and the package on NXT was great with Kowloon's and 98.5 and the Fox 25 stuff. So, Framingham native done right. So let's do it.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I loved seeing Kowloon get the shine there on NXT last night. That was cool. So yeah, let's do it. That's Battleground Nestlemania. Woo! We've made it 2 out of 3, baby. 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3. We're almost there. 2 out of 3 falls, but we're not done yet because we're gonna do that third fall because it's 1-1, and we're going to AEW because Nestlemania. You know what you do when you're tied? You go double or nothing. Or no, you do that when you're down. So we're down 2-0. Instead, we're going double or nothing. I just fucking retconned that whole thing. Double or nothing. I'm gonna refresh the page because we are recording during AEW. There were 9 matches earlier today. I want to make sure that there's still only 9 matches. There's probably going to be more added, but it doesn't look like any have been added, at least in the first hour or so of AEW. So we are going to start off with an unsanctioned match because I didn't even know this was an unsanctioned match. Why? Adam Cole, baby, versus Chris Jericho. Give me Adam Cole.
I mean, Adam Cole has to win this one because Chris Jericho can lose. It doesn't matter. Adam Cole's on a roll.
He just lost to Roddy Strong.
Yeah. If Jericho wins, I'll be really upset because Adam Cole seems like the guy.
Yeah, that's just all right. Next up, we have a 6-man tag team match playa. If Hardy Party wins, Matt Hardy will own Ethan Page's contract. So we have Ethan Page and the Guns, Austin and Colton, taking on, like I just said, the Hardy Party of Isaiah Cassidy, Jeff Hardy, and Matt Hardy. This is interesting because I feel like the Hardy Party is actually going to win, and Ethan Page is going to be kind of Matt Hardy's lapdog for a little while. So give me the Hardy Party.
Yep, give me the Hardy Party as well because they put a stip on it. And they're not going to put a stip unless it happens because it's AEW.
That's true. Next up, we have a singles match for the AEW TBS Championship. Jade Cargill defending against Taya Valkyrie, who can finally allowed to use her finish. And this is interesting because this probably feels like the first time, like maybe ever, that there's a possibility Jade could lose. I don't think she is, but it feels like for once there could be a possibility because they actually built up an opponent for her. This has actually been I wish it got more time on the actual show than opposed to Rampage and shit, but we'll take what we can get. Jade Cargill retains, I believe, to 60 and no?
60. And she says, I'm going to beat all your favorites, which I was like, oh,
No.
woman, just keep fucking saying that.
What if she's my favorite? Does she just beat herself?
Oh my God. She
She's
can beat
so fucking good. The fact that she isn't fucking just on TV like as much as MJF on Dynamite is such a fucking drop ball because she's so fucking good.
She can beat herself in front of me any day.
Alrighty then. We have next up an Anarchy in the Arena match between the Blackpool Combat Cucks, Bryan Danielson, John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta taking on B Elite. Elite, Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, Adam Hangman Page. I feel like you don't reunite the Elite just to take an L, so give me the Elite.
The Elite, and I believe that Hangman will do something very fucking ridiculous and, of course, get the pinfall because he's fucking Hangman.
We love Hangman. Next up, Nestlemania, we have a rematch and a singles match for the AEW Women's World Championship. Normally, I would poo-poo on this, but speaking of poo-poos, there's some nice... Yeah, Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm. This match was awesome last time. I expect to be awesome again. It'll be a visual spectacle for a lot of the males in the audience, but I'm taking my girl, Jamie Hayter, to retain.
Haters in the house. It has to be Hayter going into fucking Wembley. I don't care. If it's Britt turning on her or if it's fucking Saraya, those two are the only things that make sense going into Wembley. So Jamie ain't fucking losing that championship. By the way, TK just announced Collision is in Chicago. Is what Danny
no
just
shit.
said.
Meltzer was wrong.
So
Fucking
there
of
you go.
course. And I'm sure he's gonna backtrack and be like, they reached an agreement an hour before the show. No, he's a fucking liar. None of those idiots know everything. There was always gonna be never an issue. So, but that's a side note. But yeah, Nestlemania, you just hit something there that I really liked. I didn't even think about that. Britt Baker turning on Hayter after the match, setting up that match at Wembley. That is fucking money because Saraya can do her own thing. It doesn't matter. And then you have your two Brits separated and have two big women's matches. Good job by you, because that wasn't even on my radar because they've been kind of like whatever. But maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't right after the pay-per-view. But at some point, that's the match. It's Hayter Britt. That's the match. Good call. Next up. Oh, you're going to love this. 21-man blackjack battle royal for the AEW International Championship. This started because Orange Cassidy's just like, yeah, I'll fight whoever. And they're like, so anyone can walk into his office and fight? He's like, yeah. So, and then I believe whoever's interviewing was like, 20 people went in. He's like, yeah, I'll fight them all. So as of right now, it is Orange Cassidy defending against Aaron Solo, Powerhouse Hobbs,
Don't
QT
name
Marshall,
them.
Ricky Starks, and 16 TBD competitors. I only named the ones that are listed. So this is going to be a clusterfuck. I love Orange Cassidy. This would be an easy way to have someone else win it. But you know what? Just let fucking Orange win. He's the best fucking thing on the fucking AEW. He's so awesome. He's so good. And I'm not ready for this to end because much like Wes Lee, these two guys have elevated mid-card titles to great lengths just by being awesome.
Somebody said a long time ago, sometimes title make the man, and then sometimes the man makes a title. That man made the title. The
title that's changed the names, literally.
Yeah, literally. Already. It don't fucking matter. Every time he's on my TV, he's my favorite thing. Like, he's just so great. So I'm picking Orange Cassidy. The end.
Love it. We're on the same page. Next up, we have 3 to go. Now, so ladder match for the This is a ladder match? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Ladder match for the AEW TNT. This match is going to be Dynamite Championship. Wardlow with Arn Anderson taking on Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. Christian Cage, best heel in AEW. Better than MJF at this point because it's weird situation. We'll get there. But man, this is such a tough one for me because Wardlow just got it. And I love them putting him with Arn because I think there's a lot of potential. But the minute I saw Christian Cage challenge for it, I'm like, that's the guy who can bring fucking stability to this title for a while and fucking make it feel important again and have a good fucking reign by just being an asshole. And then whoever beats him, whoever is the baby face to beat him, it'll be a big fucking deal and feel really special. But I don't know, man. It's hard to just do that. Just giving it to Wardlow. There's going to be a bunch of schmas in here because they got that fucking dinosaur running around. But you know what? Nestlemania, it's a new year. I got to take chances because that's how I got the lead last year. Give me Christian Cage in the upset because it's a ladder match. I love his theme music. I love him. He fucking, I don't know who else has dead dads in the AW roster, but that's who he's going to target next.
Well, they said, well, there's Jungle Boy, and then now there's Wardlow, and then there's fucking negative one, and then somebody else just lost their dad. Like they said, there's like 4 of them that he could.
So line them up.
Yeah,
because that's who Christian's going after.
Yeah. The turtleneck of death. I don't think he's gonna win. So I'm picking Wardlow because honestly, you can't start and stop. Can you? Can you start and stop again for the 3rd time?
Look in the dictionary, TNT title. It literally, besides Miro, should be called the start and stop title because everyone who's had it has had it like 3 times. Just because Tony's trying to put Cody's name farther down the list. Sammy's had it 3 times. I think Darby's had it 2 or 3 times. Wardlow's already had it twice. It's just like, it's such a fucking weird title. It's such a weird title. Next up, we have a tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships with Mark Briscoe as a special guest referee. FTR, the greatest tag team in AEW. Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler are the champions. They defend against fucking Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal with Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh, who pretty much in every pay-per-view are getting tag title shots, no matter who the champions are. I mean, look they do their job. They're fucking heels. We fucking hate them. They're annoying. This match is probably going to be really good because these styles, there's a lot of good work going on in that ring when these 4 guys get in there.
I think that FTR has to win because it's just not even a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at some point Jeff Jarrett's going to get a title, but I don't know. I don't think it's now. And I hope it's not the tag titles. Next up, Nestlemania, the main event, if you can even call it that, a 4-way match for the AEW World Championship. MJF defends against Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, Jack Perry. It's the 4 pillars match, but unfortunately only 1 pillar is holding up that building. This feud has really magnified the deficiencies in the other 3 guys. I do think Sammy impressed me probably more than the other ones because I expected the least from him. Darby Allin, I was a little disappointed in because I really thought he was more ready than he was. And Jungle Boy, I don't know if he's ever going to be ready for this type of thing. But yeah, MJF's probably going to win, probably should win, because I would be absolutely shocked if any of those other guys won.
MJF has to win, and again, it highlights, like you said, everything. But I think it highlights to me that MJF's title reign is mid at best.
Yeah, they got to get him some legit competition.
And I think that's the problem going forward. Is like he's been so good for so long, and then they gave him what he wanted, and then he kind of just hasn't delivered, in my opinion. Not necessarily in the ring. I just feel like
I don't think it's all his fault.
No, it's not.
This feud should have happened in like the fall. Yes. And you should have been working on these guys, but it's just like you can't like got two guys that have been like sidekicks. You can't elevate. And then Darby, like he's with Sting for a reason. Darby's amazing. We love Darby. We're huge Darby guys. One of our favorite guys to watch. But like it really has shown that like he can't stand on his own yet in a fucking world title feud. And he was the guy that maybe was one of the guys down the line would beat MJF for the title, but not anytime soon, buddy.
And we're not going to get into a long discussion about this, but I think like NXT has promo class for a reason. And these other three dudes would benefit from somebody teaching a promo class to them.
One of the guys said he literally doesn't like cutting promos. It's like, well, buddy, hope you like the mid card.
Yeah. Stay in the business.
Whoa. I can sing, but I can't talk.
Sing songy JC.
Maybe he makes Anna Jay sing. So everyone's got their talents. His just isn't a promo. That's all we got this week, Nestlemania. That's a lot of predictions. We got through them all. You guys got a big weekend of wrestling to watch, so I hope you all enjoy it. And we're going to be back at a regular scheduled time as Tuesday next week. Barring an incredible 04 Sox-like comeback, we'll probably be on Tuesdays for a very long time. So, yeah.
Go Celtics. Please lose. On that note, thank you for listening to the Jobber Knocker. We'll be back next week with more Jobber Knockery.